Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum is with us at the mothership. How are you, Julie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am excellent. It's good to see you again. Are you ready for Christmas?
No. Not even close. No. We actually just got our tree up like a day ago.
We did ours this weekend. You're safe.
Okay.
And actually, we have yet to hang the ornaments. We have the tree up, we have the lights up, but we have not hung the ornaments yet.
Good enough.
It's a busy time of year here.
This is actually the first year my kids were actually helpful. I used to we called it the season of don't touch the ornaments because they were little and they would. But this year they're staying away from them, and they were helpful decorating the tree, so it was a good year.
That is very good to hear. All right, so let's talk. There's a number of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the apparently the generation of delicate snowflakes that have been raised underneath our very eyes. Right. They're starting to manifest themselves all over college campuses these days. But before we do that, let's talk about, because we always seem to talk about school lunches. We take this right around lunchtime. I have not actually eaten today. So I'm very hungry.
I am too.
And I'm so glad that I'm not in school, and that I can go to a restaurant, I can actually have lunch and eat it, and it's going to be fine. I look at your story from EAG News this week. Stone Ramatowski, talking to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, is a senior at Parkway West High School in Baldwin, Missouri, and he says the lunches are, quote, basically tree bark now. That's all you can eat.
Awesome. That's a great line.
Tree bark.
Tree bark.
That's a good line.
That's a great. I'm going to steal that. That's true, and it's
Parkway
true.
West has experienced a 20% drop in lunch sales since the new rules have been implemented. Statewide, Missouri schools seen an 11% drop. So it might not be tree bark, but it's certainly not much better.
Look, it's code for it doesn't taste good. And look, what's so sad about the situation is that we have now this generation that is going to experience the Michelle Obama school lunch reforms that will see healthy food as tree bark, as tasting bad, as being, or, in some cases, the students aren't getting anything. You've seen the pictures on Twitter. Kids are putting up of it's one cherry tomato, one cheese stick, and like a roll. And it's either deprivation and starvation or disgusting. As I've said on the show before, part of the reason it doesn't taste good is when they put the vegetables on the plate, for instance, like carrots or broccoli, the school lunch ladies are not allowed to put butter or salt on these items. And my kids eat a lot of a wide variety of vegetables, and it's because I cook them and I put a little butter, I put some cheese, I might put some salt on them. All of these things are banned in the school. So what's so sad is that you have actually done the exact reverse. You've taught kids that healthy food tastes bad. Healthy food is something that you're forced to eat. It's what the authorities feed you. It's really not this sort of organic experience that the First Lady has made it out to be. And the last thing I'll say is the best part about this is not that I've really harmed the reforms to the school lunch program in my constant commentary and criticism of it, nor have a lot of other people and lawmakers trying to chip away at this or that. The worst thing that has happened to the school lunch reforms, and Michelle Obama being the leader of this, are the kids who are eating this, who have social media, who've been putting up these pictures, who've been doing these videos. She never anticipated this. This is the very kind of thing that the Obama White House is supposed to be so savvy, right? Facebook and Twitter and all these social media platforms, they're supposed to, have a handle on this. This is the very thing, the very kids, the very ones who are having to eat this food are the ones who are taking control and really making it pretty uncomfortable for the First Lady and the entire White House.
There is the hashtag Thanks Michelle Obama,
yes.
Where you see a lot of these pictures, and it's become sort of an internet meme now of, anytime something goes wrong, you don't get with Thanks Michelle Obama, right. Because, right? Yeah, that's sort of an unintended consequence, I think, of this. And here you have, in this St. Louis Post-Dispatch story, so you've got all these, as you say, the kids who have access to social media who are complaining about this. Very clearly, that's not popular among them. So if you're looking for signs of success, what do, Julie? You talk about the kids who aren't on social media, the elementary school kids. Marlene Pfeiffer, Director of Food Services for the Parkway School District, tells the Post-Dispatch the little guys are eating more fruits and vegetables than they were 3 years ago. It takes a few years to get the palate turned around, and that's harder for older students.
Yeah.
So, look, and by the way, if you believe that,
Yeah.
Marlene,
You're in the wrong
come on.
business.
You got wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Please,
it also
wake up.
takes adults a long time to learn to eat steamed spinach with nothing on it and act like it tastes good. I mean, but you're right. It actually doesn't take kids a long time to learn this stuff. And really the best way that kids learn this stuff is from parents, not from, lunch lady who has to serve 300 kids. Kids generally eat what their parents eat. And so what we need to be doing is encouraging parents to be making good decisions, to be feeding their kids plenty of fruits and vegetables, to be leading by example. These are the things that really change it. And yet it's crickets from the White House when it comes to a parental's role. It's all the government's role. The government is really the one who are going to make the best decisions. And you know why? Because the USDA sets dietary standards. I mean, this is so off the wall to, I think, people who have sort of a shred of common sense when it comes to parenting. They understand that really it's the parent who needs to teach kids about eating their peas and carrots, about what proper nutrition is. I mean, you go to your pediatrician, they don't talk about the school lunches. They talk about, are you feeding your child milk? Are you giving them, vegetables? Are they eating fruit? It's the parents that are really important here. And yet, again, we hear nothing from the White House on that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, school districts again around the country are still trying to figure out what to do. There's a story here from Killeen, Texas. The Killeen Independent School District hires a chef to improve the lunch recipes. Steve Murphy, Director of School Nutrition for the district, told board members, "We got some good news this week." Oh, boy. You're reading this story, it's amazing. So apparently this school district is going through the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, which is a voluntary certification initiative. Sure it is. That recognizes schools that creates healthier school environments through promotion of nutrition and physical activity. So what they've done, they're required to decrease the amount of sugar, fat, and salt in school meals, increase whole grains, double the amount of produce that they serve, not that's eaten. And the guy who works for the food services department said, unfortunately, the one area we had a little issue with was the sodium content. We have to reduce that, and that hurts us a bit because what sodium do, yeah.
An educator.
Our educational system, yes, what sodium do, it gives flavor to the food, he says.
How about that?
Yes, it does.
Right.
Good. So, and he says, by the way, the district decided to hire a contract chef earlier this year because sodium guidelines will become even stricter next year. He says, so they say, quote, what he's doing is taking the recipes and trying to jazz them up a bit.
Jazz them up. Jazz hands.
Hands. He's using different herbs and spices to try to enhance the flavors. So there you go. So what this is a jobs program for chefs.
Yeah.
Julie.
Yeah.
We're replacing lunch ladies with chefs. And maybe we're going to have a Food Network show.
But I got to tell you, I in some ways I defend these school districts who are hiring chefs because you do need to be a genius in the kitchen to make vegetables taste good without butter and without salt. Now, I know there's some super healthy people out there munching on a carrot stick right now going, oh, but nothing tastes better than, you pick a green bean off the vine and eat it right. Oh, that's baloney. Okay. The kids do not taste things the way adults taste things. Okay. It needs help. Kids often need a little help. And frankly, if we're going to assume, like the White House assumes, that no grown up, no parent has ever introduced their child to a vegetable, let's do it in a way where the vegetable is enhanced, where it tastes good. And for heaven's sakes, if schools are actually getting to the point where it is so hard to make food taste good that they're having to hire people who are schooled like 4 years in how to cook, it's telling you that common sense has not won out here. That, my husband's grandmother, she was a lunch lady for years. She had no degree. She just cooked for her family. Making food taste good is not that hard. Basic food taste good is not that hard. But when you take away the tools that the average person uses in the kitchen to make food taste good to kids, then you do have to hire engineers, people who are seriously qualified, because they do have to do all this experimentation with, herbs and all this stuff. And that might enhance it a little bit. But the truth is they just need to let up on the rules. They need to give control back to the lunch ladies. Everything is controlled by USDA. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a school kitchen in Portland, Oregon, or a school kitchen in New Mexico or New Hampshire. All of the rules are controlled by Washington. That needs to end. When that ends, the school lunch ladies will have more control and the food will taste good. It's a very simple solution. It's less government.
Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum. I cannot add anything to that rant. That was
Epic.
sublime. That was epic. Absolutely. All right, but I do want to talk to you about one more thing before
Sure.
we let you go here, and that would be the number of students that we have seen around the country who are saying that they shouldn't take their final exams this semester because they're upset about the grand jury verdicts in Ferguson, Missouri, and in Staten Island. And I got to say, Julie, these are individuals who are not connected to. They may have gone and they may be protesting. They may be emotionally involved in these in these issues, but they're saying that they can't take their tests.
Look,
the world has to stop because feelings.
Yeah, feelings.
Am I alone in thinking
feels-
this is really weird?
No, you're not alone. But this is what you get from a generation of coddled children who are told that everything affects them personally, that nothing can be analyzed from a distance, that nothing can be looked at as an unfortunate case. You can look, you can have strong opinions on it, but everything must be felt. Everything must be experienced. But this isn't the first time. I remember the utter collapse after Diana died, Princess Diana, and just the utter collapse of, some countries, people taking the day off and crying. And yes, I mean, this is all very sad. But there are times where people sort of take advantage of these national stories. I've never seen this, though, asking for an excuse from college exams. And naturally, many colleges are complying. But again, like you say, this is a generation of snowflakes. This is what Lenore talks about, Lenore Skenazy at Free Range Kids, about how when you coddle children and teach them that everything is so, they are delicate and they must be protected and they must, even their feelings must be protected. This is what you get, a bunch of wimpy kids who aren't going to be able to complete tests. Someone made a very good point that I read about. What if this person had a job where someone's life relied on their completing this job? I mean, because we feels things, should we, take a break from doing that? I mean, should I stop feeding my children because or putting them to bed or teaching them, the basics of life because I feels things? No. So I think everyone needs to grow up. But it is unfortunate that the universities are sort of, I mean, not surprising, but unfortunate that they're allowing this to go on.
Again, not surprising perhaps. They need these students to pay their tuition and fees so that they can continue living the good life there. But I don't want to create a straw man. I want to quote from the National Law Journal. They ran a piece by William Desmond, who is a Harvard Law student. I believe he is he's an editor on the Harvard Law Review, and he wrote about this. And he said, our request for exam extensions is not being made from a position of weakness, but rather from one of strength and critical awareness. He said, over the last few weeks, many law students have experienced moments of total despair, minutes of inconsolable tears, and hours of utter confusion. Many of these same students have also spent days in action, days of protesting, of organizing meetings, of drafting emails and letters, and of starting conversations long overdue. We have been synthesizing decades of police interactions, dissecting problems centuries old, and exposing the hypocrisy of silence. He says, I've seen the psychological trauma brought on by disillusionment with our justice system send some law students into a period of depression. After all, every death of an unarmed youth at the hands of law enforcement is a tragedy. The hesitancy to recognize the validity of these psychic effects demonstrates that in addition to conversations on race, gender, and class, our nation is starving for a genuine discussion about mental health. Now see, this is, I feel, Julie, like this is some sort of bizarro world that, if I just craft this world that will do all these things, then that will be the way the world is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing. And here's my attitude. And again, I don't want to sound cold and heartless. In fact, I don't think this is cold and heartless. But if learning about what you would consider to be an injustice bothers you to the point of depression that you can't get out of bed, you can't go to class, you can't take
paralysis.
You can't take, right?
Yeah.
Paralysis. Then maybe the law is not for you.
Maybe
you need to do something else, right?
Right.
Because
like pottery.
there are going to be cases that you're going to lose.
Right.
Like pottery. Basket weaving. But seriously, there will be cases that you will lose.
Yes.
And part of what college I thought was about was maybe toughening up students to deal with these things.
But life is hard.
Not to say
there are going to be disappointments,
right.
and look, maybe not on the scale of some of these cases, yes, but these are cases to be observed. You're going to have things happen to you personally, that will crush you, that will hurt you. You've got to be prepared for these things and move on. I mean, you think of employers. With every hangnail, you are not going to get a week off. With everything that happens to you, you are not going to get time off to deal with these things. This is part of college. And law school, for heaven's sake, is to take responsibility and deal with what life has coming at you. If you think that these two cases are the hardest thing that's ever going to or come at you, I mean, you have got a long life ahead, a long life. I really worry for these kids. They have no concept of real life and real responsibilities and really what life can throw at you.
Well, first of all, let's quit calling them. First of all, let's quit
kids.
calling them
I know.
kids.
What is wrong with me? Yeah.
I'm going to finger wag at you here, Julie. One more quote here. He says, our focus and critical thinking are at an all-time peak.
Oh, right.
While the importance of our textbooks is at a low. It is not that law students are incapable of handling their exams, he says. It is that we are unwilling to remove ourselves, even for a few days, from this national conversation. To which, again, if I were a university president, I would say, well, that's the choice that you're going to make.
Yes. Yes.
That this is so important to you, William, that you will not remove yourself from the national conversation to take your exams. Okay, and it will be a demonstration of how important this is to you because you will fail your exam.
There were whole
and then you will be able to tell the world this is how important it is.
There were whole generations. And there were whole generations of men in the Great War that gave up slots at Oxford, that gave up, slots at great universities in order to go fight for patriotism. They made that choice. In World War II, people made a choice. There have been choices. People have made choices between their education and other meaningful things, or things that mean something to them. They are not the first generation facing these choices, and as you say, make the choice, and don't expect these extensions. It's sickening. It's just absolutely sickening.
All right, Julie Gunlock. Listen, I appreciate you coming in studio. It's always good seeing you. We could talk about this all afternoon, but go home, have fun with the family, toughen up those kids, and.
I will.
Make them clean that house. Just, put them to work. Say the elf on the shelf is watching.
Absolutely. They've got chores to do. All right. You betcha.
There you go. We'll talk soon. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Julie Gunlock from the Independent Women's Forum with us here on NRA News, Cam and Company.